Back to Space Engineers on the Xbox, on my Series X, and we're on Triton. Let me turn that off. Today's little tutorial, more a life hack really for Space Engineers, is something that I picked up from chatting to someone, Keenata from Keen, and it's a work light, because when it's mining time it's dark. So what you can do is you can make your own little small grid work light to save you using your suit's torch. As you can see, it's quite dark down here. So if you need to do any mining, you can comfortably turn your torch off and mine away to your heart's content. And it's dead simple. And if you're new to the game and you've never done any mining like this, there's two operations to the drill. One is mine mode, on the right trigger if you're using a controller. I specifically use a controller. I don't use a mouse and keyboard. There's no room where I am at the moment for a mouse and keyboard. I started back when mouse and keyboard was the only thing on the PC in early access, when we didn't even have fighter cockpits and the only thing we had was a platform to build stuff on. The good old days, as they say. Inventory full. So, a couple of things. Hold down the right trigger, keep the X button pressed, and you will pick up, I won't at the moment, but you'll pick up any stone that pops out, or ore. If you, however, need to dig a bigger tunnel, if you hold the left trigger with your drill, you'll carve a bigger tunnel without picking up any stone, without mining at all. So that's the two operations of your hand drill. And to put it away, hold down the left bumper, tap B. But this is it. This is the work light, and it's dead simple. You get a small landing gear, and you have to build it like this. I've built this one slightly wrong, but that's alright. I'm going to build a new one. So what you want is, let's see where I want it to be. Actually, first things first, we'll drop off this stone. So it's also useful to find your way back out of a mine. You can only build this when you can build batteries though, because you need to power it underground. So here we go. I will be doing a very small tutorial, let's see, series on starting the game. So the only thing that you're missing with your work light, or you will be missing, is when you grind down a battery, it breaks the power cells. So you need to build a new battery. Make sure my light's on. So we're going to grind down this here. I'm going to show you how to set it up and the components you need. So you need a small grid button panel, a little control panel, and obviously battery, armor block, and a small grid landing gear. I'm actually going to build this light in the same place, but I'm going to show you how to do this. And while I'm on the subject of tools, just before I do, if you double tap the triggers, you'll turn the tool into auto mode and it will constantly run until you tap the trigger again. Okay, so we want to place our landing gear. So let's get all the components we need. Bring up the build menu. There's the landing gear. It's too big. What do we do? If you're new to the game, hold down left bumper, tap X. Still can't place it properly. I can only place it there. Very tricky to maneuver. Hold down the left bumper and you will operate the we go. Let's see. Turn. I want that. Turn there. It's playing up, of course. It's always the way. Let me just turn it. There we go. I just need to turn it. So what you do is hold down the bumper. You'll see there's a bunch of things. Normally you can pull a block in and out using up and down on the D-pad. But you can turn it and change the axis of turn. So when it's red, the axis is through the ankle of the landing gear. So it will rotate round the axis. So if you're stuck on how to know when something's going to rotate, this is through the top of the landing gear. So it will rotate left and right. And this one will tilt it. As you can see, the axis, this will pitch it, and then this will turn it, pitch it again in a different way, pitch it. So landing gear won't actually lock into play. You can't put them into the ground, but if you put them above the ground, just want to make sure it's pointing the right way, and also that it's fairly. No, I don't want that. It'll tilt naturally. There. So when you're ready to place it, just tap the right trigger, and it will lock into the ground. Even though it's not powered, it will stay there. That's the beauty of landing gear. And then we build the landing gear. It was going to be a very short and small tutorial, but as things go, we're going to need a light armor block, which now will place small grid. We're going to need our spotlight, and you can leave these lights on default settings, or you can change them. Now here's where I built this wrong last time. We're going to need a small grid battery, and you want to change it until the tiny battery is showing. Now you'll notice though, when I try and build this battery, I won't be able to build the battery properly. I'll get to a certain point, but if we put the battery on top like this, like so, let's weld up just the spotlight and the light armor block. We'll leave the battery for now. We're going to need two more things. Put your button, which you can find in button panels, and it's a small grid button. This was added and it's very useful. I recommend getting all the DLCs. People ask me about the DLCs. Get them all. They're cheap, and also they add some cool stuff to the game and some functional stuff. We're going to need a control panel. And when placing these, if you look at the top, the circle at the top means the keypad's orientated in the correct place. Here we go. So now we've got the control panel, we've got the button panel, and we're going to weld up the battery. But watch what happens. Not enough power cells. So off we toddle out the mine. And into here, where I've got some power cells, I think, already. If I haven't got them, I've got one. So we can make another one very quickly. Done. And you'll notice that you've got a lot of components in this box. And if you want to expand your inventory, you can press the right stick in and you'll see all of them. So now if you hide empty, you will only see inventories that have stuff in. So if you need to find something, and I'm rather glad that Basic Assembler 2 did that, there we go, the power cell. I could make it so that Basic Assembler 2 basically this whole thing shoves things into another box, but I'm not going to do that because I want to do that as part of an expanded tutorial on how to manage inventories using conveyor systems and sorters. There we go. Now we've got everything we need to weld up our power cell, and there's light. Now the reason I told you to build a panel is so we can access some functions of this, including the spotlight. Go into the spotlight and we can change the intensity. Gives us a bit more light. Right, last thing, we don't want this to constantly drain the battery with the light, so if you press X on your panel button, and then you'll see all blocks. Lights, if you tap the right bumper, if you've got too many things. Spotlight, toggle block on off. Done. That's our little work light. It's so simple enough to build and use once you've got batteries, and because it's a small grid battery you won't be making power cells for days. You can build them on a larger scale if you want, use the giant spotlight and the large grid landing gear and so on, but that may be a bit over the top. Let's take this stone back out of my Triton base, and from within the Triton base as well I can access my cargo boxes, and I have a sensor operated door. It's a bit dark. There we go. And you'll see a little cargo box. I like to do this, especially when there's inclement weather. That will now get moved and pulled by the refiner and converted back into useful materials. So there you go, work lights. That's it. That's the tutorial. As they say in cartoons, that's all, folks. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, stay safe, have fun. Tomorrow I'm going to be looking at Flare's pulse drive, the companion to the torch drive. Another fusion powered drive, but this one uses less fuel but delivers significantly less thrust than the torch drive. It will be useful though for things like atmospheric fighters or ships that require long journeys, but you still don't want to use ions. It does use power as well as fuel, but that's tomorrow. I'll talk about that and show you that in action. I've built the test rig so you can see under survival conditions which drive performs the best. Take care. Bye for now.